when I left Louise's band, I moved out to L.A. and started doing exactly the same thing there that I did in Nashville. Just going out to bars and sitting in with bands and trying to make I'd go into Guitar Center and pretend to need a piece of equipment, just come in with this electric violin. So I was an oddball right off the bat, and plug into an effects processor or something like that to just try to get some attention drawn to me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And about 6 months after I moved to L.A., Phil gave me a call. Carrie had written a couple of songs that they wanted to demo, and he wanted to know if I wanted to come out there and demo the violin parts. And I said I'd be delighted to.
Wow.
And
cool.
Phil said, I kind of thought you might.
Right. So how did that turn into you actually being in the band?
Well, it actually turned directly into that. We demoed the songs. They flew me to Atlanta, and we went out to Carrie's house where Carrie had a very nice studio in his basement, and we demoed those 2 songs. And that drifted into, it created a little interest in the band, back together again, that sort of thing. And it drifted right into the tour that continues to this day. And that was back in '91. I went back out to L.A. and about 3 or 4 weeks later, Phil called me and said, why don't you just come over here and we'll go out and do this thing. And that's how that '91 tour started, and it has never really quit.
Right, you've been going out and working like at least 100 dates a year ever since then, is that right?
More or less.
Yeah. When they booked that tour, they weren't sure what the response was going to be because in the spirit of things it had done what it did, is that right?
I wouldn't know. I didn't do that tour. I don't know. But the response was great from the audience. The whole Kansas thing was it was a lot of fun. It was beyond anything I had ever done.
Yeah, a lot of audience response was like to have the violin back, of course, and then to be performing songs from the catalog that had been de-emphasized, I guess, in the more recent. It really seemed to be the right decision. Yeah,
and it was the perfect thing to do, and it was for me. I mean, it was just I couldn't ask for anything better.
Very good, very good. How much latitude did you have in joining to either reinterpret some of the old parts or play them exactly as they'd been on the records?
I was real careful to change anything. Fans want to hear the song,
right?
And they don't. It's almost, from that perspective, it's almost like the symphonic approach. You want it to sound like it sounds. They want to hear the record.
Right.
And I was real careful with what I took liberties with. Those parts that Robbie came up with are the classic parts, and I wanted to do them as much honor and respect as they deserve. So I didn't change much, and what I did change, I would change little.
Right. Gotcha.
More than anything else, I might add a part where Robbie would put the violin down and sing. I'd continue with the violin part.
Oh, okay.
Right. I'd take liberties with that,
Right. Now, what was that like personality-wise, trying to fit into a band where the members, I mean, some of these people have relationships going back decades, and you're stepping into it sort of sight unseen?
It was very easy, actually, and Kansas had been without a violinist for years. Power and In the Spirit of Things, neither of those albums had a violinist, so I wasn't really taking anyone's place.
Right.
I was just coming in to reinvent the old sound,
Right. Gotcha. How many years was it from when you first joined to when you did the Live at the Whiskey? That was the first recording project you did with him, is that right?
Yeah, and it wasn't too long after. I think it was like my third year in the band.
Mm-hmm.
End of the second, beginning of the third year, something like that.
Very good. Now how did that come about, and were you happy with it after it was done?
Oh, I was thrilled with it. I mean, it's a really, if you go back and listen to it, the band just smokes. We were kicking butt and we knew it. You know, we were a little cocky with the way we were playing.
Yeah. The band is heavier live. It carries a lot more impact.
Yeah, and we were awful good and knew it. And once again, it was Phil and Jeff Glicksman. Mm-hmm. Jeff came out to hear the band. And he said, "Man, we have just got to get this documented." You know, so we went into the Whiskey, nice historical place, and had I think it was the MTV production, you know, with the truck and the cameras and all that sort of thing.
Right. Very good. Now, you were in the band how many years in your first stint?
Gosh, I joined in 91 and left in early 97.
Yeah. Well, what prompted you leaving after trying so many years to try and get in?
It just wasn't going kind of the way I wanted it to go. It was too much of then, and I mean, if I had it to do all over again, I would never have left the band. But I had been there for 6 years, I guess, and I was just getting itchy. You know, I guess I got the 7-year itch a year early, and I'd done a solo project, and I was real excited about it. I had Jerry Peake played bass on it. A guy named Tom Norden out in Nashville played drums on it, and I was real proud of it. And I wanted to give that a shot.
Right.
You know, and it was probably ill-advised. Well, it was ill-advised, but it's what I did.
Yeah. Gotcha. So where did you go? Where did you go from there? What else were you doing in the intervening years since you between being out and being back in?
Well, I did the solo project thing. I released it, and it came and went rather quickly. And there were several little projects that I got involved in. All of them were very good. None of them did a thing. There were 3 of them, actually, that were very good, that I spent about 2 or 3 years doing that. And then I got a call from this guy out in Las Vegas that needed, he was a lounge act, very good one. And he needed a violinist. His violinist had left, and he hired me for a month. And I went out there, and what was it, like 5 years later? I was still out there. But that was fun. It was a very involved, very produced lounge act. I don't know what else to call it. It was like a show, but it took place in a lounge. We were in at the Bellagio for 3 years in there. They've got a cabaret lounge that we were in, and it was very produced and very slick and a lot of fun. And Phil, Kansas came to town, and all of a sudden, here I was back in Atlanta.
Huh. That's interesting. That is interesting. Why did the opportunity come your way again?
Well, Robbie decided Robbie retired. He just had enough.
Right. Is it just the travel that gets to people? Is that what ultimately grinds people down about being in a band?
Yeah. What was that line in Raiders of the Lost Ark where he said it's not the age, it's the mileage, I think is what he said.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It can. Traveling can really wear you down. You're going back and forth between time zones. Your body never knows what time it is. Sleep becomes difficult as a result of that. And it can, if you're not careful, it can really beat you down.
Yeah, I try to imagine sometimes when I talk to people like you, I try to project myself into that position of traveling that much, and with a travel day, I mean, you're talking about something that consumes 2/3 of your year, probably, at least.
Yeah, and it's always a factor. I mean, you fall into this pattern of just kind of rolling through the day. Just a couple of weeks ago, you get yourself kind of steady, and then we went out and did July 4th in Hawaii at Schofield Barracks. So you go. It's a 6-hour time differential. So you fly out there. You're there for 3 days, and you kind of almost get accustomed to that, and then you fly back. And now you're back, and your body is going, what time is it?
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Travel can wear you down. It really can.
I would anticipate that. How do you keep, when you're with people so much and you're traveling and you're under time constraints and pressure, how do you keep from just exploding on one another and just going nuts with each other?
Honestly, that was prevalent in the 90s a little bit. Being on a bus as we were back then creates maybe a lot of that. And in the interim, Phil has got this thing working. It's very lean and very mean. We're hardly ever on a bus. Mostly we fly. And he's got the thing running to a point where it's actually easy. Typically we get on a plane on Thursday or Friday and come home Sunday or Monday. He's got it arranged where you get home, for at least a portion of the week.
Right.
Except maybe in the summer where it really busies up and everything.
Right.
But you actually get some home time.
Yeah,
and
that does make a big
difference. Very smoothly and very lean, and it actually is a lot more fun. This second time around, it's a lot more fun.